Whew. It's off season, baby. Off season. So I am actually super excited about this off season. I'm not gonna lie. I'm getting ready for a few shows that I have in mind, potentially Texas, Tampa, or which one is the next one after Tampa? Atlanta. So those are the shows that I actually want to aim for this season. But I think something more important than, getting ready for another show is to potentially getting ready for my last season. I know. I've been really contemplating about sharing this with everybody, but I think it's about time. I'm super excited to be jumping into a new phase of my life and chapter of my life where I'm gonna be really dedicating myself to work more with female bodybuilders, working more with the team with Best Built. And I really want to dedicate my time now into transitioning into a full-time coach and support for Best Built. So Dom and I have been kind of debating if this is going to be my last season. So I think it's a little bit more of a motivation for me to really give my 150% to go back to the stage of Olympia and show a much better physique that I presented last time, which is, I still had a great time, but I got to learn so much from that experience. And now I feel like I'm much more prepared to jump on Olympia again and kind of close this chapter with golden keys, like my mom says. So this is by far going to be my best off season and a start of a new chapter next year. Doing little pull-ups. I usually like to do 2 sets of 15, just warming up. Kind of getting my mind ready too for the lifts. I don't know if I like different plates. I don't think my head's gonna work well like that. Nope. They have to match. 45 is a 45, right? But not in my head. What I like to do too, and I'm a little bit more old school, so there is something about pen and paper. And it's something that is practiced in therapy too. And I remember my therapist saying that anything that you want to write down with a pen and paper, as opposed to writing on your phone or writing on a computer. So I kind of, as I practiced that, I noticed that there is something to that. So that's why I like to just have a regular, workout book, nothing of fancy apps. It's just paper and writing down my numbers here so I can hold myself accountable. So every month or every 2 weeks, I send my numbers to Dom. We kind of revisit. So it kind of gives me a perspective of what needs to be adjusted, if I maybe needed to add some more reps, or slowly, as I get stronger, add more weight. So it's a way to keeping progressive overload. So we're gonna start with, we did some two sets of pull-ups, right, of 15. That was a warm-up. And then now we're gonna do a formal, like a bend over row with the chest support. And I'm starting here with the 45s. So I'm gonna do about only 10 reps here for 45 because it's still a warm-up set. And then we're gonna go into a feeder set and then 2 working sets. Ooh. 10. I have to remind myself, like, it's only 10, Amanda. Save your energy. I really like this gym. So you are now at lifting factor? Yeah, got it right? Right there, Amanda, the Lift Factory. All right, we got it right. Really like this gym because it has a vibe, right? Something that I was that I like so much about gyms in general is that a gym has to have a personality, right? And when you look around here, you can see like the lights are a little dimmer. There is a little like a blue slash purple light going on here that kind of keeps a vibe. And then you have some of the best here too. On the wall, we have Denalyn Bailey, of course, representing my category. The very first Miss Olympia. I think she got the title back in what, 2013, I guess, or 14, I'm not quite sure, but she's the very first women's physique Miss Olympia. And then you have Dallas on the side. You have Kai Green here. You have Phil, Jay, Cedric. Cedric, is that him? Yes, okay. So it's kind of give you a little bit more of a like inspiration, especially it's very rare to see. Oh, who am I? What? This isn't EOS or LVAC. You better get your ass to work. Am I talking too much? Is that a sign? Love that. But actually, this is gonna be just a feeder set, so let me just get a 25. But talking about personalities, this gym definitely has a personality. But he also has a lot of plates that don't match, and that's driving me crazy. Let's find another 25 that looks just like this. Let's see. Che. Mm. Mm. Woo. So only 8 reps here because it's still a feeder set. So now I'm gonna add a little bit more weight and then we're gonna do 2 working sets. Really get to work right now. So it wasn't too heavy, but it was challenging to keep that tempo. So I think I'm just gonna add an extra 10 pounds and keep it at that so I can push to 15. Ish. Oof. Ah. Ish. Etch. Ish. Ish. Ah. Ish. Mm. Oof. Ish. Shh. So of course, if I added more weight, um, it would be a little bit more challenging in terms of like lifting the weight. But as a good reminder here, we're not weightlifters, we're bodybuilders. So the goal is not to really lift the weight, the goal is to perform the exercise in a way that you're really feeling the muscles that you're targeting. So I aimed for about 12 to 15. I got to about 13 with the tempo, about 3 seconds on eccentric, and really keeping my mind and focusing on the mid of my back. So I'm gonna add a little bit more weight. I was tempting to do 2 plates, and I've done 3 plates before here. But I think my focus is right now is just shift a little bit of my mindset from the weight and really focus on the form. So we're gonna aim for, I'm gonna add maybe 10 more pounds in each side. And then we're gonna go to about 12 to 15 again. Shoo, shoo, sit, ooh, ish, 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 ah, ish, ish, ah, 12. Technically my first exercise, so I'll take it. Yeah. Ah, H. Oh. H. I can't believe that was only 45. That felt a little heavier, but I like this machine. I haven't done this machine in a while. I was actually thinking that, let me see. Yeah, I can stay. There are so many things that you can do in one machine. It's just changing your grip. So I might stay here for a little while. H. Ooh. H. Ooh. Ooh. Whew. It's so crazy how everything has to do with form and tempo. Because two things that I noticed. That particular machine I just finished, I remember doing much heavier sets there, but my eccentric was kind of a little bit, was much faster on the eccentric. Now this, the same. I'm only doing 45s here, but I'm really squeezing and kind of milking that, like that form. Squeezing, squeezing right here, making sure that I'm opening up my back. So instead of just pulling here like that, I'm starting with my scapula here and then bringing it back. So I go open up, bring it back, as opposed to just this. And I learned that as I was in Brazil with a friend of mine in December, and he was kind of giving me that detail. Amanda, make sure that you're positioning your back since the starting point before you pull the weight, and that made a huge difference. So I think it's a very like basic reminder, but we all kind of get caught up into the weight. It's very important to pay attention to the form. So important. Reminder for myself. Ish, ish, oof, ish. Come on. Ta. Oh. Oosh. Hup. Eesh. Woo. Holy crap. That was good. Let's see. I think this is the, yeah, this is my favorite flavor, mango ice. So I usually just I add a little bit of that, then I add a little bit of essential amino acids. So since we have a lot of Project PD stuff at home, I make sure that I mark my stuff. So Amanda only. This is mine only, Dom. You don't touch this shaker right here. So I like to introduce this kind of in the middle of the workout and kind of to get a little bit of extra energy here, extra boost for the last exercises. So Project AD. Hey. So notice that I didn't really do a warm up or really a feeder set here. I'm super warm already, so I'm going straight to a working set. So I'm gonna do about 3 working sets here. I really like this exercise, so usually when I like an exercise, I try to stay a little bit on it for an extra working set. So we're gonna go to from 100 to now 100 and let's see. We're gonna go. Yeah, we can do 120 and then we're gonna go to 140. Each. Ooh. Uh. 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 Cha. Ish. Oosh. Ish. Yeah. Woo. You can tell that the last reps right there was a little cheating, but I needed that because I wanted to push a good 15. I was still feeling pretty good, but I need a little bit of a swing, just a little bit. Ish. 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 Can't believe I said it's gonna be my last season, but it's going to. It's a mixture of excitement and this is what I was talking to Levy before she stepped on Tampa Pro, and she just started crying so much, and she hugged me, and we shared these emotions together of 20 plus years of lifting. Levy's a little younger than I am, but she has been training since she was 15 years old. And I've been training since I've, been, I don't know, 16, 18. So it's 20 years of going to the gym and learning, how to move your body, how to exercise or use the machines, and then the community you meet and the gyms that you kind of progress to and from, since the very first gym that we went as a little kid to then all the gyms around the world, traveling different cities, and slowly getting better in terms of our ability to exercise and execute the exercises better. The different communities that we progress from, but never forgetting where we came from. And then the science of diets and supplementation and enhancement and all. There is so much that we learned throughout all these years that when we step on stage, it's much more than a prep 3 months leading up to a show. It's 20 years of history for that particular athlete that we get to display in that 2 minutes or 3 minutes on stage. So when I share with you guys that this is going to be my last prep, it's emotional to me because I remember like it was yesterday when I walked into Gold's Gym Venice in LA, and that was one of my first gyms ever. I moved from São Paulo, Brazil, to LA as an exchange student, and I went to school in Cal State Northridge, and my dream at the time, so I thought, was to become a food and beverage director, because back at home I had a lot of not experience but exposure with mom and pop's restaurants, and a lot of people in my family were really interested in the culinary world. And when I moved to America, my dream was to do F&B, which is food and beverage. And so I went to school for that, and I started working in hotels. But the hotel world is such a interesting industry, and just like in any other industry, you have to work your ass off to make it somewhere in the industry. So my hours were super long. It was, from opening a restaurant at 6 o'clock in the morning to then closing the restaurant because the manager at night decided to calling sick, and I'm the one who was trying to progress in the industry. So I was always the one who said, hey, I'll cover, hey, I'll do it. And I was also the young kid with ambition and without a family at the time. So every Christmas, every holiday, every New Year's. So for all of my 20, when I was from 20 years old to 31, 32 years old, I never had Christmas. I never had New Year's. I never had a holiday. I was always working. And then, so moving to LA and just going to the gym for fun as a way, my way to distress from my working hours, I ended up in Gold's Gym Venice, from all places, which is the mecca of bodybuilding back in the 90s. And I got to meet a lot of people. I got to meet Show Roden, which he became one of my best friends at the time. We were super close, and then that's where I met Stan. I've known Stanimo for now 10 years, and he was my buddy when he first started in men's physique. And I knew when Dexter Jackson was getting ready for a competition because he was always there with Psycho, and they were training together. I saw Seaban training there when Seaban wasn't even top 3 or 5 in Olympia. I remember when Breon was getting started with classic physique, and he was just about to win the Olympia. I remember when Denny Hester just became a classic physique champ. So I was so eager to be around the best in the world. And they were very supportive too, because I would say to them like, hey, I'm thinking about competing because I really like training, and I think that's a kind of a must on the resume, right? So they would look at me and they would almost like kind of, in a sense, they would support me, but they would also tell me, you have a long way to go, Just keep it on your path, keep doing your thing, but just know that the journey is long. And I never backed down. I started learning, and I did my first competition at the Ferrigno Legacy in 2017, and then I did Excalibur right after. I did a show in Brazil, muscle contest, the very first the second muscle contest in Brazil, and I got my pro card against women that have been competing for years before me. So I was so emotional in a sense of like kind of seeing that's what's happening, after so many years preparing. Because even though it took me just about 3 shows for me to become a pro, I was already preparing for that 5 years prior, because I was training and eating like as a bodybuilder for 5 years before that day. So then that was just kind of the cherry on top of the cake. And then after 2018, it was 2019 in my pro debut at the Rising Phoenix, which I was top 5 in my very first show against 30 plus women, or I think, yes, it was top 5 against 30 plus women and excellent competitors at the time. So I just got so excited to move forward with my career. But I think that by finally winning a pro show last year and experiencing the Olympia, I came to realize that as much as I can tell now that I am part of one of the best in the world, because anybody who stepped on Olympia, you have a whole back history behind that day, right? It wasn't just one show that you won, but several shows leading up to that show. But to tell you the truth, even if for some reason, I didn't make it to the Olympia last year, I would still see myself as somebody who succeeded in the sport because of the amazing kind of time that I had leading up to that, to where I am right now, with all the community that I got to build, and working with Dom and several different athletes, and meeting the best in the world, and calling them somewhat friends of mine, where we share stories and we share workouts. So I remember I got backstage, I think 2 years ago, and there were 2 or 3 women there that I remember watching for years competing. And they came to me and they gave me a big hug and they said, "I feel like I know you." I just did a podcast with Brooke Walker, and Brooke Walker was my wallpaper on my phone, as an inspiration. And she was talking to me on the podcast, and she literally told me, she's like, "I'm your fan." So what I'm trying to say is that it's crazy, like how when you have this dream and you go after it, and at the beginning it feels so hard to know where you're going with that and how to achieve that. But if you really keep at it day in and day out, regardless of what people tell you, it's just incredible. It really is. So I get so emotional just to think that this is going to be my last prep for a show. And I'm going to enjoy it so much. I really, really want to do at least 3 to 4 shows this year, no matter what it takes. All the shows are going to be somewhat strategized to be very close to each other. So I'm just going to be traveling for about 2 weeks or 3 weeks max, with maybe my grand finale being in Brazil, because when I first turned pro in 2018, my mom was not very supportive of me in bodybuilding. So she did not want to go see me compete, because she didn't know much of what was going on. So when I won my pro card, I remember winning my pro card, and I got off the stage and I went backstage, and a few people said congratulations, but I just grabbed my card and off I went. And I picked up a cab and went back to my mom's house, and it was kind of a weird situation, because I had nobody there to really celebrate with me my win. But after that, and my mom really saw how passionate I was about fitness, that she regrets so much. And she tells me until this day, she said, "I can't wait for you to compete in Brazil, because I really want to support you. I really want to go, and I really want to say I'm sorry for not being there when you won your pro card." So I'm going to do that for her, even though she can't come here to America and travel and watch me here. But I want her to do it in Brazil. And I want her to take her friends, and I want my friends to go, my friends from childhood who used to see me in the gym when I was 15 years old. So I think that's going to be so amazing for me as a competitor, regardless of what happens there. Just to step on stage in front of my mom, in front of my friends, hopefully after the Olympia, and doing a much better presentation in Olympia this time, because I learned so much last year. that the mistakes that were made were not going to be made again. So I'm sure that I'm going to present a better package and just feel at peace with myself, knowing that I did all the things that I was supposed to do to really present this the 20 years of training that I had behind me. So I'm getting a little emotional here, guys, but I'm also getting very hungry. So let's do two more exercises, and then it's gonna be it. But I'm gonna be doing something very special for you guys to be following. The last prep. So I'm gonna do a little touch up. I actually have some dumbbells at home, so sometimes I just do some arms at home too. Whew. Sure you're used to it. Ooh, 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 ooh. Damn, let's go. It's a lot of weight. All right. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah. Ah. Ooh. Huh. Shit. Ooh. 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 Eight. Woo. Kind of want to like close my hands, be like bodybuilding. So you thought that I was retiring, but I'm actually going to women's bodybuilding. You wish. I know you. I know you watching. You wish. I know. But that's it, guys. So, like I said, I wanted to share because I think this is going to be a much more exciting prep for anybody that follows me back in the day, which is, I feel honored when I have people that tell me that they look up to me like I look up to Brooke Walker, how I look up to Denalyn Bailey, how I look up to Juliana Malacarni and the women that paved the women's physique. And regardless of medals or how many Olympias someone has done, I think that the most impact that an athlete can make to somebody's life is really being being themselves, and sharing with them a little bit of what they know, sharing a little bit of the just the journey in general, the ups and downs. And I think one of the things that I am known for is to be vulnerable and to tell you guys that bodybuilding can be a very fun and interesting journey, especially as a female. I think that when a woman walks inside of a gym and kind of owns that energy, which is a little bit more of a man slash alpha energy. At the beginning, she feels a little bit uncomfortable. She's moving around. She's not quite sure what to do. It's kind of the same way in life, right? We can't deny it's a man's world in a sense. So we just needed to kind of learn how to navigate that energy. So I think when a woman starts to engage in that energy in the gym and she owns it, she can take that energy and take it in so many different parts of her life, in her work, in her even in her house, in a way, because the dynamic between a couple that understand that the energy is very different than being a dominant slash submissive. It's a little bit more of a teamwork and kind of respect of that dance between energies. So with that said, I think that when an athlete shares that with one another, it brings inspiration and motivation to one another, regardless of if the athlete is first or second or third at a show. Because for the person who is watching and getting that motivation from, it's kind of irrelevant, if that makes sense. So I'm known for being honest with you guys that the journey is fun, it's long, but it's very fulfilling. I have a lot of things that I can say it's thanks to bodybuilding, the majority of my good friends, my community, a lot of things that I learned in my life in terms of discipline, commitment, resilience, and my husband. I met Dom at a bodybuilding show, so there are so many, my business, so there are so many things that I gained from bodybuilding. So I'm not gonna lie to you guys, that is a fantastic sport for me, has given me everything. But I also be honest with you, especially as a female, you have to know who you're going to start this journey with, because there are things that's going to kind of the aftermath of things that will be done in the wrong way, started in the wrong way. You're going to pay dividends later. It won't be paid to you actually. You pay the interest in a sense, of something that you committed so much time and investment, but ended up being a loss in a sense if it's so many years of doing things recklessly, and then as you get older, it piles up. So it's just my 2 cents. I'm super excited to be sharing this last dance with you guys, and much more excited to what is to come and all the fun things that I still want to do in the fitness community and industry. Okay, so I'll be back with more exciting ways of showing, the side of my story and my workouts, doing some more collabs with some athletes too that I know you guys love seeing me training with Levy, and I think that Levy's coming from LA very soon to do some work with me. I want to introduce you guys to a few female powerlifters too, which I already have scheduled to be in the channel here with me. So we're gonna do a lot of fun things before we get deep into prep. All right, I'll see you soon.